Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Second Time Around, the Kitchen Spoons and Combat Boots Multimedia Educational Series. I'm Candace Bryan Bro, the Senior Family Readiness Support Assistant for the Vermont Army National Guard. And with me today is...
Hi, everybody. This is Marcy Caulfield, your State Military One-Source Consultant.
Before we begin, I'm going to read our disclaimer for the information being presented. The resources provided on Second Time Around does not constitute endorsement by the Department of the U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force, Vermont National Guard, or Vermont Military Family Programs of the organization's products and/or services contained therein. Further, Vermont Military Family Programs assumes no responsibility for consequences resulted from the use of the products or services provided by the organizations or resources listed. Vermont Military Family Programs makes every effort to present our clients with reputable resources. We cannot guarantee the validity of said resources, and use of such resources is voluntary. So each month, we feature a different topic. And if anyone listening has suggestions for future topics, please feel free to reach out to one of us via email. Our contact information can be found on the corresponding slide deck.
At this time, we are going to play a pre-recorded briefing provided by Leslie Jones from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Just as a quick little warning, Leslie's presentation was recorded in a different location than where we would normally record, so you may want to adjust your volume at this time. And now, for your listening pleasure, Leslie Jones.
Welcome to Smart Strategies for Financially Savvy Youth. I am Leslie Jones. I am a Youth Financial Education Analyst with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And as I start this, I always have to give a disclaimer that says this presentation actually was pre-recorded for your listening enjoyment, but it's done in such a way that I might say something that is not exactly in alignment with what exactly the Bureau would have written for me. And so I want to make sure that you have this disclaimer so you understand that it was in support of a live discussion. All right. So I don't know how many of you are already familiar with the Bureau, its mission and vision, but I just wanted to give a brief overview. Our goal is to make better informed consumers, and we like to do that in a variety of ways, and I'll point some of them out as we go along, but we do so by looking at how we can improve the financial literacy information and content that is out there. All right, so one of the things that we did when our agency got started a mere 8 years ago, this July we are 8 years old, and because we haven't been around long as a federal agency, we are still growing and expanding exponentially. But one of the things we did was decide at our onset to identify what financial well-being was, to give it a definition and understand what it meant to people. The question I'm going to ask you all is, what messages about money did you receive from adults when you were a child? I'm going to ask that again. What messages about money did you receive from adults when you were a child? Now, as I've asked this question over the years, I get a variety of responses. Some of my favorites are that I didn't get messages, which says that children don't need to know anything about money from adults. They'll figure it out later on their own by magic. Another one of the ones that I found interesting was the person who told me that their mother had taught them that as long as there were checks in the checkbook, you could keep writing checks. I don't know that there was a lot of substance behind that. And then, of course, the fortunate people are the ones who are able to were able to be told that saving was important, to be taught how to save, and to make sure that they knew that you had to wait for certain things that you wanted. All right, so now that we've thought about what financial well-being is and what messages we received as children about money, I want to show you what definition the Bureau came up with. And the definition is as follows. What is financial well-being? It's a state of being wherein you can meet your financial obligations. The big thing about the definition that you're looking at that I feel is really important is the fact that it's about what's important to you. That's what we figured out about financial well-being, that I can't define your financial well-being and you can't define my financial well-being. It is individual, and it is what is important to you. The example I like to use is the millionaire next door, that person who lived down the street who the house never got its roof changed and they never painted it. They drove a 20-year-old car. They never went on vacation. And you find out in the news that not only have they passed away, but that they have left $5 million to the local university. And you say to yourself, how is that possible? How could they possibly have left $5 million to the local university? And then we just figure out that it's because, they didn't go on vacation. They have a 20-year-old car. They didn't replace the roof on their house. I think I got it. And in realizing that, you realize that for them, their idea of financial well-being was to leave a legacy. That's what was important to them. For you, what might be your idea of financial well-being is to have a fabulous vacation every year. Go out with the girls, have a family vacation, something like that. For another one of you, financial well-being might be putting your kids through college debt-free. For another one of you, financial well-being might be the option of being able to retire early. I don't know what it might be, but you probably have something unique that motivates you. After we got our definition of financial well-being, we broke it down further into these 4 elements of financial well-being that you see in the table on this screen. And where we think it's important is that you have your present financial well-being and you have your future financial well-being. So we ask people to ask themselves the question, do you have control over your day-to-day and your month-to-month finances? Do you have the capacity to absorb a financial shock? And that ties in with those statistics that we've been reading about lately about people not having the money to afford a $400 emergency. That's that I don't have a capacity to absorb a financial shock. I don't have the savings to handle an emergency that might come up. And we also want to make sure that people have freedom of choice, that they have the financial freedom to make choices to enjoy their lives, and they're on track to meet their financial goals. And your financial goals might be to retire, to buy a car, to buy a house, again, to go to college, a variety of things. But you're looking at the future, and you're trying to figure out how you're going to get yourself, how you're going to pay for whatever that financial goal is that you have in the future. Going back to what I had talked about earlier about the Bureau looking at ways to inform people and to help improve people's knowledge of finances and make people better informed, one of the things the Bureau did in this space of trying to give people better control over their current security and preparing for the future, I don't know how many of you have a credit card in which when you get your credit card statement each month, you have a little thing that you can click there that says, find out what your credit score is. And you can click and you can look at what your credit score is for that month. You can play with some tools and widgets that allow you to figure out, well, once I've had this card for 3 years, how does it affect my credit score? Once I increase my utilization by paying down my cards more, how does that improve my credit score? And be able to play with those tools. That's an example of something that the Bureau got different banks and to agree to offer as a feature for consumers, because knowing your credit score nowadays is so critically important for giving you the options to be able to meet your financial goals, that not having it or only getting it once a year wasn't helping to move the needle very well. Now that you get it once a month, hopefully you can move the needle a little bit better. So once we took a look at adult financial well-being, the Bureau asked themselves the following question: where and when in childhood and adolescence do people acquire the foundations of financial capability? And in asking this question, we discovered that people need three things in order to have financial well-being and financial capability. They need to have executive functioning skills, they need to have financial habits and norms, and they need to have financial knowledge and decision-making skills. And so what we did was we created this developmentally informed model, and it looks like this. It's the three building blocks of youth financial capability. Now, the thing that we think is really exciting here is that we discovered that you can start teaching financial capability skills to 3-year-olds. And so that means that as a parent, you can have something tangible to start working with your child on to improve their financial well-being when they're retired and enjoying their own grandchildren. And what we can do is we can start helping them with their planning, self-control, and problem-solving skills. And so that means teaching them to sit and wait for something, to think about, well, if I want to have dinner, then first I'm going to possibly need to set a table, and we're going to need to pull out ingredients, and we're going to need to cook something in order to put out and have a plate to put it on. Just those kinds of planning, those simple planning, is really beneficial because that planning, that self-control, that learning to wait is going to help you retire eventually, that you've got to put away money for 40 years in order to be able to have that retirement. The next element, and I'd just like to point out that executive functioning skills, although we can start teaching them between the ages of 3 to 5, it is something that you can keep working on pretty much your whole life if you want to, and keep improving those skills. All right, so then let's look at financial habits and norms. A great time to start working with your children on financial habits and norms is in middle childhood when they're ages 6 to 12. So you're talking first grade through probably 5th or 6th grade. And those are helping our children identify healthy money habits, norms, and rules of thumb. Earlier we talked about what messages did we receive as children about money. And I gave you the example of the person who told me that their mother had said, well, as long as you still have checks in a checkbook, you can still write checks. That is definitely a money habit that the mother had, but it's not necessarily a healthy money habit. And so we want to try to encourage those, try to help kids identify those so that they can start making good habits that will get them that financial well-being that we hope that they get. An example of that is how much am I going to tip? When will I pay my bills? Do I pay them when they first arrive at the house? Do I wait and do it at the end of the month or at the beginning of the month? What's my routine? Why is this my routine? Why am I comfortable with this? For my own children, they have different financial habits and norms about vehicles. My one son loves to tinker and change out parts of the car and get his vehicle customized, and he puts a lot of money away to buy tools and to buy the pieces, parts for his car that he can customize. My other son wants to make sure it has 4 wheels or 4 tires and the steering wheel, and then he's good. You know, he wants nothing fancy. So the one puts money into the tools that he needs to work on his own car. The other one puts money away to pay his brother to help him fix his car when he needs to. And so they have different financial habits and norms about that same topic. How do I maintain my vehicle? And I encourage them to save accordingly and to plan accordingly for their different financial habits and norms. And that's what we need to help children do starting in middle childhood. But again, it's a time to start it. It is not when it should be finished. We want to keep working with them as adolescents into young adulthood. And honestly, my financial habit and norm for retirement didn't get developed until I was in my early 30s. So this is something that you can do for your lifetime if you want to. All right, and then the last one, financial knowledge and decision-making skills. We do this, and we really do this pretty well already. There's so much material out there for people to use to help develop children's financial knowledge and decision-making skills. And so it's just a case of finding what works for you, for your child, and using that information to increase their financial knowledge and decision-making. The one thing I'd like to point out is we think it's really important that kids learn good research skills, how to find resources that they can trust, as well as to do that compare and contrast before making a purchase. Don't just check one place and buy from there. Check multiple places. Make sure you know what your different options are, and make sure you're getting the best price for what you are purchasing. All right, so I'm now giving you some research about generally how to teach and increase youth financial capability, how to build those skills, as well as to hopefully get your child to be an adult with adult financial well-being. Now I'd like to show you some actual tools that you can use to do that, because having the goal doesn't necessarily get us there. So let's look at some of the tools that the Bureau has that can help you. All right, so one thing we have for parents and caregivers is an entire section of our website called Money as You Grow. And this website, again, starts with 3-year-olds, and we start working with developing executive functioning, building those money habits and values, and practicing money skills and decision-making. And it's got lessons in both English and Spanish and a lot of different things. And I'm going to show you a couple of the things that we have so that you know what you'll see when you get there. This is one of my favorites. It's called Money Sort. It's a worksheet. It's just 2 pages. The one page has the wonderful little pigs that you see there, and the other one gives you information on the activity and what to do with it. And the way I think you can use it is starting with that 2 to 3-year-old age and going through kindergarten. And you start by sorting. You pull your change out of your pocket, or maybe you pull it out of the piggy bank you have at home, and you sort them. You sort them by nickels, dimes, pennies, quarters. And then as the kids get older, you start with counting. So now you've got those coins sorted. So how many pennies do you have? How many nickels do you have? How many quarters do you have, et cetera? And then what you would do is you can, as the children get older, you actually start totaling what that is. So you haven't just counted, you're now totaling. So example, you might have 4 cents, you might have 15 cents, 40 cents, and 75 cents of the different categories of coins. And you can also sort them by year and color. Those are some other ways to practice sorting and do some additional skills with it. And then finally, as the kids are getting older, you can talk about how much money you have. You know, we have $1.34. What can we do with it? Let's make some decisions about spending and saving and what's important to us, and start working on those financial habits and norms. And we can also talk about when we buy things online, we're using money even though we can't see and touch it, just a variety of things. So this is an example of one of the activities that you can use for multiple ages to learn and teach multiple things. Now let me show you another series we have. We have a series called Talk About Money Choices, and we have Big or Small. And it's common family events that really should lead to money talks: getting a pet, buying a car, moving to a new home, paying bills, paying with a credit card. So what we give you are some suggestions on how to talk to kids about money, because it's how we talk and when we talk that's really important. We need to take into consideration where they are in their financial development, and then use these events to help them build skills and start conversations when you think it can be productive and it's comfortable, and it gives them those skills that they need to eventually, I'm going to keep saying it, be adults with adult financial well-being. All right, so you've gotten an idea of some of the things that you'll see if you come to our Money as You Grow site, so hopefully you'll be visiting there soon. And then I don't know about you, but I loved reading to my kids when they were little. And so we also have on our website, as part of the Money as You Grow series, Money as You Grow bookshelf. And with this bookshelf, we've identified 16 books that have financial literacy topics. And we're also going to have 5 additional books that get added to this list at the end of the year, by the end of the year. And so hopefully you'll either find a book here now or come back and look at it later and see if you find one of our new books that appeals to you more. But they're books that are commonly found in public and school libraries. Books like The Berenstain Bears' Trouble with Money, Curious George Saves His Pennies, A Chair from My Mother. And these books can be found, again, at the library, purchased yourself, however you might have them in your home. But with that, we're hoping that you'll stop and pick up one of our parent guides. And you can also order our parent guides and have them sent to you to be able to use at a back-to-school night at school, or something that you can just download from our website because they're also there. But these guides, they go over what the story is. They identify the key financial literacy topics in the story. They give the parents things, so they give you something to think about as you're reading it with your child, and then some things to talk about with your children as you're reading it. And then my favorite part is the extension activity, something to do that's age-specific, that extends that learning. So a chair for my mother is about saving for a big purchase that you want to make, that and how to save for it, and then how to do that shopping and how to get it in your home. And then maybe you have your kids identify something that they'd like for the house, or that somebody in the family would like, and then figure out how we can save for it. So these are some great books, and are hoping that you'll stop in and check out the bookshelf and check out a parent guide and see what you think, and hopefully share it with some others that might enjoy them also. All right, so now part of what we need to do in order to be able to help our kids learn more financial literacy is sometimes we need to improve our own financial literacy. And so one of the ways that we can help you do that is through a new series we have that's called Misadventures in Money Management. And this just became available to the general public last month. It's something that's available to all branches of the military. And again, it just became available, I shouldn't say last month. It became available in May, so it's fairly recent. And what it is it's for all new active duty service members. It's a short, entertaining training about making financial decisions. This training uses a style of graphic novels meets choose your own adventure, and lets the users practice making financial choices and then see the outcome of those choices. And it's a virtual learning experience that fills a critical gap in financial education topics for all service members. And the program covers topics including understanding the importance of building savings, how to avoid impulse purchases, how debt can affect a military career, protections and benefits of the Service Members Civil Relief Act, and financial decision-making. So this might be something that you or your family members have access to that the general public doesn't have access to, but we've gotten great feedback about, and people are really enjoying the program. Just to tell you a little bit more about it, when you go to mem.gov, and that's MIMM.gov, mem.gov, users will see 6 characters that each have financial decisions that they need to make, and they need your help to make better financial choices. And when we set out to create this program, we talked to lots of service members, and they told us 3 things. Please, no more boring slideshows. 2, don't expect sleep-deprived troops in boot camp to remember anything right after they get back from field training. And 3, make it fun. And that is why MIM has you fighting zombies, traveling in time, becoming a secret agent, all while learning financial concepts. It's really a lot of fun, and we're hoping that you'll check that out. That is mem.gov. And then, just to give you some idea of how well this has been received, the percentage of future and current service members who've taken this test, they score higher on the post-assessment than the pre-assessment by 74%. That is a huge knowledge gain, and so this system is working really well. All right, so this is my time when I highlight CFPB on social media, and we are on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn, we are on Twitter. There's also a tool we have called Ask CFPB, which is ASKCFPB, and it has almost 1,000 answers to commonly asked questions about money topics like mortgages and credit cards and prepaid cards and student loans. And so if you're having any problems with any of those items and you want questions answered, you want help with complaints that you want to get fixed, please stop by our website. Please stop by Ask CFPB and see what we can do to help. And please visit us on one of these social media sites and sign up for our feeds to learn about new materials as they become available. Like, for example, those new Money As You Grow books that will be available later this year. If you sign up on Facebook or Twitter, they will announce them as they get released, and that way you can come back and check on them and see what those new guides look like. Well, since I'm not taking any questions live, I can't stop and answer any questions at this time, but I hope that this was very helpful to you. I hope that you stop by consumerfinance.gov and check us out and let us know if you have any questions, if there's anything that we can answer, or if and come in again, look for so many tools. I just covered a very small sliver of what we have available. We have things for auto loans and mortgages and just a wealth of materials. And so if you haven't visited us, we are one of those trusted resources, and we welcome you to stop by and check out consumerfinance.gov. Have a great day. Bye.
The Kitchen Spoons and Combat Boots team wanted to give a special shout out to Leslie Jones for the amazing job she did with her briefing. Honestly, she made recording the second time around episode super easy, and we wanted to thank her for all her hard work. Nice job, Leslie.
We hope you found this content useful and informative. Remember, Kitchen Spoons and Combat Boots holds live webinars on the first Wednesday of every month at noon. You can find the login information on the Vermont Family Programs website at www.ngfamily.vt.gov. Be sure to check back often as we continually add valuable information to build on your personal toolbox. Thanks again, and we'll see you the second time around.